Words about books, Ben. Last time we talked about the Hunger Games, and I tried to just rush it along because I thought that's what you wanted, but it wasn't.
I cut the argument out of the episode. You don't have to mention it again.
Well, you can cut it out here too.
Did you listen to the episode?
Not yet.
I had so many Baldur's Gate references in that episode. There is a character named Gale, and he is the horniest, most annoying wizard you could possibly imagine. And every time you said Gale, I put in a quote from Gale. But yes, it's Words About Books. We are covering part 2 of The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. If you have not yet listened to part 1, you probably should. But if you've already read The Hunger Games, we're just going to start with the Hunger Games themselves for this episode. So the previous episode covered everything up until Katniss leaps off the pad.
Up until 12 boys and 12 girls were put into an arena to die for my entertainment.
Nate, you're the expert. I'll stop you.
I'm the expert? Oh shit.
I'll stop you when I have an emotional moment or some literary device I want to call attention to. But why don't you just guide me through with all the tact and grace that you bring to the podcast? What happens after they say go?
All right, so they're all on these pads, and they've got, I believe, 60 seconds where they have to stay on the pad. There are, landmines all around them that will deactivate in 60 seconds. I think that she mentions that in a previous Hunger Game, someone had, some sort of charm, and they dropped it on the ground, and it obliterated them utterly and completely. So you don't want to fuck around with that, right?
It would be easier just to have a door. I think that was a point where Suzanne might have been over-engineering things just a little.
I'm thinking, can I throw my charm at someone else and detonate the bombs near them ahead of the game?
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, I'm not going to beat you in a physical confrontation, but if I can get a landmine to do it for me, let's do that.
But Katniss doesn't do that. She looks at PETA.
Well, first she looks their advice from Haymitch was, number 1, don't go to the cornucopia. Cornucopia's got a bunch of food and weapons and all sorts of good supplies. You're not ready for that. It's a bloodbath. People they're going to get in there and they're just going to slaughter people, and you're not going to win if you do that. So, bail right as soon as the gate, right as soon as the buzzer goes off, you bail, you head into a secure spot, find water, and then don't die. And Katniss she's all on board with that plan, kind of, begrudging. She sees a bow and arrows in the cornucopia. She's like, that's for me. They put those there for me. That's mine. I'm getting that. But then she sees PETA. PETA shakes his head no. And we already went. Everyone's already running. Katniss, you're behind because you looked at PETA.
You know what I found weird? There's two things. I kind of preferred the Battle Royal thing where they at least gave them a basic survival pack.
Yeah.
Because if they think it's boring for people to starve to death, why do they make them starve to death? Now, I understand there's a whole different skill set involved, but if you're going to put them in a desert, somebody who is a survivalist in the woods isn't going to know how to survive in the desert necessarily. So I don't know. I don't get that part of the games.
Unless you are a libertarian who routinely goes to Burning Man.
Yeah, that's a big population of people. The libertarian hippies. Yeah. At some point in this series, I'm going to need Katniss to learn how to construct a bow.
No. She will never learn to do that. You can't make me or her.
That would be a really useful skill to have for somebody who primarily hunts with a bow and arrow.
Well, she tried, but she just can't get them the same way that her dad made them.
Go to the school library. There is a school. You can't tell me there's not a school library.
There's nothing but coal.
Nothing but coal magazines. Just sexy coal magazines. So Katniss goes for it anyway, though.
She initially tries, I believe, right?
She tries for I think she starts running towards the bow, but she finds it's a little more aggressive in there than she was necessarily prepared for. So she tries to...
There's a bunch of supplies, and... the supplies near your disc are like a square of plastic. Here's a pack of bubble gum, but we took a few of the pieces out. And then like the closer you get to the cornucopia, there's like there's a whole steak dinner in there, perfectly preserved. So
the key to the Subway sandwich shop.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, she goes for it. It gets a little too intense, and a boy starts fighting her, and then
they're fighting over a backpack.
Yeah, they're fighting over a backpack, and then he coughs and spurts blood all over her, and he's got a knife in his back. He's super dead.
So it's Glimmer.
Glimmer. Knives. Yeah. I remember she shat on Glimmer's name, and it's like, I mean, come on, guys. You all have ridiculous names to me.
Most of the important characters are named after food. Only the ones you're not supposed to like have stripper names.
Snow?
That's kind of in the middle, isn't it? Yeah.
You don't know which way he's going to go, right?
No. Just like a quality president. I never know what I'm going to find. What airplanes he might have been on. What mysterious people he might have known. I realized after a moment that I have to upload this conversation to several platforms. So Glimmer, she starts throwing knives at Katniss, and Katniss, out of pure instinct, raises the backpack right above her head.
Has a knife.
Catches Glimmer's knife. How did Glimmer get like 57 knives?
She just kept walking towards the cornucopia, and it's just like knife after knife after knife. It's like, the a piece of candy skit? It's that, but with knives. Like, ooh, another knife. Ooh, another knife.
Yeah, we forgot. It's a little detail, but Glimmer's a fucking cheater. Because Glimmer tried to smuggle in a ring with like a needle in it.
Hey, she didn't know that there was a needle in there. You can't prove that. It was given to her as a gift from her, let's say, mom.
I can't prove that Bigfoot doesn't send me prophetic dreams either, but we all know he does. That's how I cornered the podcast market. Did you know we're the #1 book review podcast on Good Pods?
Got him.
That reputable site.
We're really taking off.
Yeah. We're beating out a lot of podcasts that have not updated in 3 years that are in the top 20.
So, Katniss gets into the forest. She hides herself. She's got like a sleeping bag and a backpack and a square plastic pouch and some like random miscellaneous small amount of food. Every time someone dies, a cannon fires. The initial fight kills 11.
That's almost really convenient half. For the story. I was so happy when I saw that the initial fight killed 11 of the 24 kids. Yeah. I don't know how you felt about that, but
yeah, it's nice for the pacing because Yeah, Battle Royale, it's like, oh my god, there's still, like, 20 people left in this. What the hell is gonna happen?
There's no way you can argue that Battle Royale is not mostly a story about watching children get brutally murdered. It's all spectacle. There's nothing there besides that. 90% of the runtime is just high schoolers getting killed. But I guess I watch a lot of horror. I guess that's most horror movies.
Yeah, so the important ones are both the tributes from the 1st and 2nd District, the career tributes, Glimmer being the girl from the 1st District, and Kato from the Green Hornet is also the 2nd District. He's jacked. There's Thresh, Rue, Foxface, who never ever gets a name ever.
Some people call me Foxface.
Foxface?
PETA's still alive. Obviously, Katniss is still alive.
Can I tell you, one of the random phrases of Japanese I know is foxface.
What is it?
Kitsune gao.
Ow. I just think of that one guy from Bleach who never opens his eyes and always grins.
No, you're thinking of Brock from Pokemon.
There's a guy from Bleach.
There's one of those in every anime. I have no idea what that's about. I've been watching anime for years. I've still never quite figured out that one. But no, apparently I had to look this up. I was doing a monster thing on an anime podcast for Halloween, and apparently a lot of kitsune, the fox spirits, they like to turn into attractive women with the kitsune gao, because that's a very attractive face.
Nice.
Shape, I guess. And they go on to have like long, fulfilling marriages.
Oh.
It honestly wasn't that scary. I was kind of disappointed.
I was expecting that to go. No. Like, oh no, they marry their victims and then stay in a happy marriage with them.
No, it's mostly just.
And when he woke up in the morning, she was still there.
It's that meme of like.
I wrote a blog post a while ago about why I f***ing hate video games, because this is what it does. It appeals to like the male fantasy.
Cut to like. They're dying elderly in each other's arms. I don't know. But then she turns back into a fox. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes
we've
accidental.
We wandered a little.
Yeah, so just like Katniss, see, she's wandering through the woods, and she turns in for the night by climbing up a tree and pitching a sleeping bag, and then she wakes up because some idiot started a fire nearby because it's so cold. And then she just kind of like fell asleep by the fire, and yeah, obviously that drew everyone to her location. And all the career tributes come over and beat the shit out of her, but they don't initially kill her, actually. But then PETA's there too! Dun dun dun!
I wonder, yeah, I guess PETA was able to join them because Kato is real offended that Katniss got more attention than him.
Yeah.
And PETA is a link to getting Katniss, so they let him sit at the cool kids table.
Like, was he like waving his arms like, I can help you find her! Don't murder me on the spot!
I'm guessing after they caught him, he might have done that, yeah.
I guess he did get the shit kicked out of him, so...
Yeah, he looked roughed up, right?
Yeah, his face was swollen, he had a bloody bandage on one arm, and his gait was messed up, so...
Maybe it was more like they caught him, beat him up, and told him he was going to help.
Ah, maybe. And PETA was like, that sounds like a good idea to me. So yeah, PETA goes and finishes off the girl who started the fire, and while he's gone, Katniss overhears the other tributes being like, I can't wait to find her and kill her. But and then after that, we're gonna kill PETA.
I mean, I'm sure they told Peter that too. You can't really disguise that motive in this. And then we'll kill each other, as we discussed.
No.
So did Peter actually kill the girl? We don't see him do it.
No, we don't, but she's
We
not
hear a
dead
cannon
until he
go
goes
off.
back to check her. Yeah, then the cannon fires.
I wonder if the other books get into that.
I wonder if she was dying but wasn't dead, and he just put his hand over her mouth and just went, "Shh, go to sleep, shh."
Go to sleep. he oh no. He left his call-in card. It stuffed a whole roll down her mouth. Suffocated her with a baguette.
Well, she had some delicious rabbit, so Katniss managed to loot that because that was just left behind.
Yeah, because the tributes are so confident in their food supply that they don't even need to bother with it.
Yeah. Who wants to eat a disgusting rabbit when you've got... Well, I was going to say Subway, but now that rabbit's actually looking kind of tasty.
Yeah, I was going to say, at least you know it's a rabbit.
Yeah, yeah.
What was it like? The tuna has no tuna DNA in it.
And I think that they said there is something dubious about the chicken as well.
And the bread is legally cake in Ireland.
Yes, because it has too high of a sugar content. That's what PETA did. He always talked about frosting the cakes and how good he was. So
he's playing the long game. He's playing the long game. He's cooking them delicious Subway sandwiches, knowing it's going to kill him in 20 to 30 years.
And knowing that it will cause the career tributes to lose all their sponsors.
And all that dubious meat and sugar bread will make them lethargic.
Subway, eat fresh.
PETA's playing the long game. A smart man.
If PETA is one thing, he's smart. He's actually pretty smart.
He is. So Katniss...
He doesn't come off as smart in the movie.
No, he comes off as a plank of wood. But so does Katniss.
We got feedback, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
We solicited feedback from our movie expert, the Gravy Man Jamie, and he replied that he doesn't... I forget what exactly we asked him. Oh, you asked him if you could make somebody look gaunt with makeup, which, yeah, you can. But also, he said of Jennifer Lawrence, something I did not know, was that she actually had a crazy fast rise to fame. She had, like, most of her big franchises came out within, like, 2 or 3 years. She was in the Hunger Games, the X-Men, all that stuff. By the time she was like 20, she was nominated for an Oscar. And by the time she was 22, she had one.
Wow. And that's why she just stopped caring about doing anything at
all.
all.
She just totally checked out of like all these franchises she'd been locked into, especially the X-Men. Because she had to get painted blue and she hated it.
Yeah.
So that's a little like that was a little more. I don't know. I mean, he admitted that like her acting wasn't necessarily Oscar worthy in his opinion, but like not that bad. And she has grown as an actress, which I could see. I haven't watched a lot of her movies since this like teen 20s X-Men thing. Like I didn't watch Silver Linings Playbook or any of the supposedly good ones.
What the hell is that?
That was the one with Bradley Cooper. I think that was either a nomination or something. Now James,
the raccoon from
the
Guardians
raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy. But you know he does like dramatic stuff now. Like, he was in that movie with Lady Gaga.
What? Is this real?
Okay, this is on you. This is on you. Oh god,
I know Lady Gaga is going to be in Joker 2, Electric. Oh wait, I can't say that anymore. You're right.
No, you can't. That's a fascist group.
Damn it. They really
Lady
ruined
Gaga,
that. Like they ruin everything.
It was a remake of a remake of a remake. A Star is Born. That was the movie. Bradley Cooper like wrote and directed it, and Lady Gaga did all the music. Lady Gaga is actually like legit talented. I'll die on that hill. And Bradley Cooper is okay.
Yeah, but only one of those two got to be in Guardians of the Galaxy. So, checkmate, Lady Gaga.
Nah, I'd take Lady Gaga any day. I unironically, when I go running, will put on a Lady Gaga album.
When you should be putting on a podcast or an Audible book.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I should be listening to podcasts when I run to keep pace. I want to make sure I find a good 140 beat per minute podcast.
I'm sure they exist, Ben.
You just wait till you miss one of those blog posts, and we'll show you what running to a podcast feels like. I mean, unless it's words about books, by all means. If that's the only time of day you can get to listen to words about books, I mean, why not use that to learn a little bit more about the world of literature? Where were
Speaking
we?
of,
Is
Katniss
Katniss dying
water.
of thirst?
Yeah, she's dying of thirst, and she's like, "Why is Haymitch not sending me delicious, mouth-watering water straight from the watering hole, straight from a well at our home district?" And turns out,
I like to imagine Haymitch walked away from the monitor for a minute because he was getting thirsty just watching Katniss. Had to go like fill his bottle.
She figures out, or at least interprets, that like, the only reason he's not sending me water is because he knows there's water nearby. I don't know how he knows that. I don't know if he has like a map of this arena or like what, but yeah, sure enough, she looks around for a little bit. She finds some water. Mission accomplished. Nothing could possibly go wrong now.
She finds a pond, which concerned me. But fortunately, that orange pack she had contains iodine, which she can use to purify the water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you imagine just dying of a parasite?
Or getting the runs?
Yeah, cholera or something. I don't know. Is cholera a parasite?
So, you know how in Fortnite and Battle Royale games, there's like a storm that slowly closes in the arena, and in Battle Royale, there were sectors that were just off limits after a certain time?
Yeah,
in this,
they have the exploding
they don't have
collars.
That. Yeah, they don't have that in this. Instead, the game masters will push you together by any means necessary, which includes a fucking wall of fire, Ben. Shooting balls of exploding fire at you.
Yeah, I had like a couple thoughts about the wall of fire. I thought it worked for the story. I think part of the reason it didn't work for me in the movie as much was if you're not inside Katniss's head, like if you're not watching Katniss die of smoke inhalation as she flees this fire, it's not quite as tense. Because you know she's not going to die, but she can get pretty fucked up. And you're like, ooh, that still preserves a lot of the tension. Like, I don't know, is she going to be injured? Is she going to, and spoilers, not yet, but she will be.
She gets fucked up later.
Well, she gets pretty fucked up in the fire, too.
Yeah, she burns her leg pretty horribly.
Yeah, she needs some of that Amazon goo.
Which she'll get later.
Yeah. You didn't listen, but I inserted an Amazon prescription drug ad.
Oh, perfect.
Which I will do again.
Sponsor us, Amazon.
If Audible sponsored us, we'd have to take it. Like, that's not an unrealistic possibility. Let's continue to alienate our audience.
Yeah. Hey, if you don't want us to take the Audible money, consider subscribing on Patreon.
We'll be less desperate when the time comes to make a moral choice.
Yeah, exactly. So, the fire eventually stops, and that's how Katniss knows she's near someone, or someone's. She gets herself up a tree, but the careers have found her. But she just climbs higher, Ben. And the careers, they're heavier. And Glimmer sucks. Can't fire a bow and arrow to save her life. Literally, as we will find out in a moment.
It is an interesting standoff. I wondered how this was going to go. So Kato tries to climb the tree after Katniss, and he's too heavy. He breaks the branches. And so Glimmer tries to shoot Katniss with the bow and arrow. But my thing is, like, she doesn't try very long. And I've shot a bow and arrow many times in my life. You give it like 3 shots, you'll get pretty close. It's not magic.
Or you can give up immediately. Yeah?
Why didn't Glimmer throw a knife?
Well, you see, her strength score isn't high enough for her to throw a knife.
That's a dex check, bro. That's a finesse weapon.
Yeah, you're right. Well, the range on a knife is lower than that on a bow, and Katniss is within 30 feet. Range. Yeah, but it's also up. You know, you're fighting against
the
gravity.
Range on a dagger is 60 feet, 120 feet with disadvantage.
Yeah, but also Katniss is behind foliage, so she has partial cover.
She has partial cover. Do you think they let her keep the bow?
I would demand it.
Yeah, like at the very least. I'd play it up too. Like I want that bow that's soaked in the blood of my enemies.
I want that banjo that I used to just murder everyone on the field. They thought I was singing them a song, but it was a song of death.
Well, everybody's gonna die here and now.
It gets to the point where eventually, whenever you hear the banjo, you run. He's coming.
There, buddy.
He's coming.
Already
He's coming.
there.
The banjo.
There is no situation in which I am in the woods and hearing a banjo that I am not running, sir.
That is a very good point. I cannot argue with that logic. So, yeah, the careers, I think Peeta's the one who suggests it, and they all listen to him for some reason. But the careers are like, well, I guess that we can't get up there. Let's just make camp here at the base of the tree. And my thought is just light the tree on fire. That'll get her down.
Chop the tree down.
Yeah. But no, let's make camp here for the night.
There were a couple of things. This is what I was going to say with the fire, too. Is once they got into the games, it gets a little weird. I can't say for sure what I think of it until I read more books for more context. But it did kind of seem like she had the beats, you know? Like she wants Katniss to see Peeta's with the group. She wants Peeta to fight to save Katniss. She wants Katniss to team up with Rue. She wants Peeta to get injured and Katniss finds him. Like, she had those beats, but maybe she didn't really have the clearest plan for how to connect them. And some of these chapters kind of feel to me like, well, I got to get something on the page. Why don't they chop down the tree? Shut up, that's why. Enjoy the book. I'm not writing this for some idiot to analyze on a podcast. I'm writing it for the people.
Yeah, dumbass.
I respected that. But I did find what happens next incredibly funny.
Yeah, so they're like, all right, we'll post a watch. We'll camp at the base of the tree overnight.
The guy on watch is like, you still up there? Fuck you.
Glimmer is on watch and falls asleep. I remember that. And then Rue points out that she also gets burn cream from her sponsors. Her sponsors give her that Amazon burn goo.
She gets that Amazon burn goo, and then she finds out that there's a pair of eyes, but those aren't lemur eyes. We're not in Madagascar. That's Rue. And Rue motions to right above her, and it's a, oh God, what is it? A Cracker
Jacker.
Yeah. It's a Tracker Jacker nest. Now, Tracker Jackers are genetically engineered hornets, and I know this is going to start sounding very complicated for no reason, but but I promise it's super cool. So The Tracker Jackers are a bioengineered life form that was invented by the capital to torture the people of the not capital. And they put them all around the woods, and if you disturb them, these genetically engineered super hornets come out and they sting you, and each sting injects an amount of venom that causes like softball-sized hives to form, and a small amount induces hallucinations, and a large amount just ends you, like dissolves you.
Yep.
And Rue's like, hey, poke it with a stick. And Katniss is like, what? She's like, poke it with a stick. Take yourself out. Do it for Rue.
That is not at all what she said.
and Katniss is like, oh, you're right. I could drop it on them. And Rue's like, yeah, that's fine too.
Yes, that is what I want. The Tracker Jackers also, they have the tracker in their name because once you disturb their nest, they will hunt you down until either they're dead or you're dead. They don't give a fuck. So
Killer bees will chase you for a mile.
Killer
at
bees
least
suck.
Yeah, they do. But I'm
Yeah.
betting that's where they got some of the DNA for these Tracker Jackers.
So she starts sighing and sighing and sighing some more, and then right at the
With
break
Glimmer's
of dawn,
own knife. I just put that together.
yeah,
With Glimmer's
she-
own knife. That's the
You-
subtle poetry. The Tracker Jacker thing, that was getting a little silly. But now, Glimmer's own knife.
Yeah,
That's good writing.
a few of them sting Katniss, but most of the Tracker Jackers are pissed off at the people on the ground below when they hit the ground, and they tracker all these kids.
You. I have to bleep it because you said kids.
Yeah, I really fucked that one up.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You'd been waiting so long to deploy
Yep,
that.
I fucked it up. So they tracker off Glimmer right to the afterlife. I think they get another one too, don't they? I think they end
yeah,
two of them.
They get a boy. Was it Thresh or was it...
No, Thresh is not part
No,
of this group.
Kato kills Thresh, right?
Yeah, but that happens later, Ben.
That happens later. Sorry, spoilers.
Spoilers.
He kills Thresh
that-
in the subway.
Yeah. So Katniss is like, she's tripping balls. She's getting away from there. She's like, wait a minute. I need that bow. Because the Capitol, they retrieve the body right away. They can't wait to just like fucking chill, guys. It's okay. No,
Well, they
go
need it
and
for
they
a
get
thing
that-
they're working on.
Yeah. They definitely needed it for that.
I mean, that was definitely somebody's passion.
Yeah. So, I don't know what is left of Glimmer because
She's
I'm
gooey.
I'm gonna do it again. They track her skin and her muscles and her organs from her bones, and
So
she's goo.
So basically, every time Katniss, Glimmer is laying on the bow, and every time Katniss has to move her, another part of Glimmer like explodes into goo as she's slowly being dissolved by the venom.
Goo.
Goo, not that healing Amazon goo. This is evil weapon goo from your friends at Lockheed Martin. No, this is probably more a DuPont project, I think. DuPont, chemicals for America. I'm sure DuPont has an ad. But anyway, yeah, so Katniss gets the bow, but Kato runs really fast. This is actually going to come up several times. He's a pretty fast guy. And he makes it all the way, him and Peeta. Peeta's just keeping up with him. They make it all the way to the lake, lose the Tracker Jackers.
Yeah.
And then they make it all the way back. And Peeta's like, he sees Katniss with the bow, and he's like,
Fly, you fools!
Katniss is like, what, are you trying to help me? And Kato's like, what, are you trying to help her? And Peeta's like,
Get out of here! Can't you see we don't want you anymore?
and finally Katniss takes off, and then Kato just beats the ever-loving shit out of Peeta.
Yeah, PETA is not going to be seen for a little bit. The next time he is seen, he's lucky to still have that leg and don't get too attached to it.
Yeah. Somehow he fought off Kato, though. Like, Kato couldn't finish him.
Well, my guess is they're both pretty fucked up on Tracker Jack or Venom. They got
That
the
probably
good
did
shit.
help. I didn't
Yeah.
consider that. I didn't consider how, like, tripping Kato might have been. He confused PETA with an especially blonde tree. And he was punching that for a good 5 minutes while PETA slowly crawled away.
Yeah, it looks like 2 girls were the ones who died. One from District 4, who has no name, and Glimmer. And then, yeah, she fucks off to trip balls for a little bit and get over that. And then, after she's done tripping balls, she's tending to her wounds, looking for food, runs across Rue again, and is like, hey, how about we team up? Because you see, something that the movie also doesn't capitalize on, because they really don't do much with Rue, and I felt nothing when she died in the movie. Rue reminds Katniss of her sister, so she's very protective of Rue. And they spend just the best day together. You can put happy music while they're frolicking, they're getting medicine, getting berries, hunting game.
Rue
And then,
is just teaching Katniss every important thing that Rue knows, just in case
yeah.
something might happen.
So Katniss is like, or no, Rue is like, but Katniss, they're not hungry. And Katniss like starts, the wheels in her head are turning. She's like, you're right. Those assholes aren't starving like the rest of us. Let's fix that. Because Rue
We're gonna
scouted,
blow up a subway.
Yeah, Rue scouted the Cornucopia subway, and she's like, yeah, all their shit's just out in the open. And they're like, that's weird. That's a weird setup. You'd think that, like, they wouldn't have it all out in the open, right? Like, it's weird. So here's what we're going to do, Rue. You're going to set a bunch of fires, right? And that will lure them out to get you. And then I'm going to sneak over, and I am going to destroy their food supply. And so Rue does that, and Katniss is waiting in, like, some really good vantage point that Rue was using earlier to scope out the cornucopia. And all the careers, like, they're like, oh, let's go get her. Let's go fuck her up. This can't be a ruse at all. Let's get her. And they just leave the food there. Katniss is like, the hell? They're just leaving the food there? What if someone just comes over and just takes it? That's weird. Luckily, Foxy Lady. She goes in there.
That's, you know, a Jimi Hendrix song.
Yeah, I know plenty
That's
of
the
Jimi
one
Hendrix songs.
musical reference I have ever heard you make.
Yeah, well, good. So,
Okay.
she does some weird, like, movements, and she steals some food. Just a little bit. Just so no one would notice. But, yeah, she stealths in and stealths out, being really careful not to, like, make a wrong move. And, like, she's freaking out when she almost falls, and Katniss is like, what the fuck? She goes for a closer look, and she realizes that all the ground around those discs was dug up. The mines bin! The kid from District 3 who isn't a buff Chadley man, he must have found a way to reactivate all those mines.
And they call it a mine.
What is that from? Oh, that's from
Lord of the Rings.
I'm like, what the hell is that? No, that was Gimli.
That was Gimli when he set all those mines around Bill the Pony. And that's why he was never seen again.
So, Katniss is like, how do I do this? How do I get rid of it? Ah! Apples. There's apples in a sack. You know that the apples at a Subway, you don't eat those. You never eat those.
No, who the fuck knows what the apples are at a Subway?
So
You get
Katniss-
chips and a cookie just because you know what it is.
Yes, exactly. God, you do not chance the produce at a Subway, and Katniss is like, I'm gonna do the world a favor. And she fires an arrow at that bag of apples to get rid of it, which also has the side effect of causing a tear in the bag, which will then cause a bunch of apples to spill out and trigger the mines. And did you know mines are, like, really powerful, especially when you detonate a whole bunch? Because Katniss, she was in one position, and then she got blown backward into another position and has to crawl her way into the... Like, she can't just get up and run away. She's down for a while. She's got to crawl herself into hiding. And this is where Cato blames the boy from District 3 because, fucking idiot, you left the apples from like, we were supposed to throw those away, and now all of our food is blown up, you dumbass. So he cracks his neck.
In fairness to Cato, he might have set way too many mines.
That I agree 100%. No, I mean the kid has left up his, he has used up his usefulness, right? All right. Well, your one job was to set the mines, and yeah, well, all the mines are gone, and also so is our food. So, like, bye.
Dude, if I were that kid, I would have strapped like an explosive to my chest.
Yeah, you would have done probably literally anything but try to run away from Cato when Cato is jacked up.
I'd have tried to run away from Cato like the second he was out of vision range.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean,
the second Cato left me with all that food, bye.
Yeah,
I just take all the food.
Take all the food, hide it away.
If I ever, like, I'm just going to tell you guys right now so I don't feel bad later. If we're ever in a killing game and I make you a promise, I'm lying. Like, I'm just going to say whatever it takes. Ideally, I either don't have to live with the consequences or you're not going to be around to tell anybody I broke my promise.
Yeah, those are the only two ways that this will end.
I guess it is being televised. It'll make me look crafty.
Yeah.
I'll be a lovable scamp like Loki.
Hey, guess what? When you return to your district, you'll be fucking rich. You don't have to care what anyone else thinks anymore. You'll
don't
be in
need
your
integrity.
mansion. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, and then after Katniss regains consciousness from her
and
her concussion, her head wound.
And half of her hearing.
Yes, and half of her hearing. One ear is buzzing, one ear doesn't hear anything anymore. There is in fact no cream that she is going to be getting to rub into that ear to feel things again. So she's like, wait. She goes back to the rendezvous point that she and Rue set, but Rue's not there.
Oh, the Mockingjay thing.
Yeah, and so Rue sings songs to mockingjays. Mockingjays are another genetic anomaly. Originally, they were a bird they're supposed to basically be bird recorders. They were all males. They failed. So the capital
really
was like,
a Dune
fuck
thing.
'em. Yeah, and then they figured the bird would just, die. But the birds, the capital, they underestimated the power of horniness, and these birds got freaky with local wildlife and created a new species. So these birds, they can mimic songs. They can't
record. Yeah, they can't record conversations anymore, but they can whistle a jaunty tune.
Yeah.
And that's like a symbolism thing. It is pretty cool, actually. I mean, we're joking around because this is the battle episode, but...
And the last battle episode we did involved banjos. So,
well, the action scenes are always like they're real. You had to be there moments. I mean, unless I'm going to tell it to you in exactly the same way, we're not going to be able to build the same amount of tension. But the Mockingjay stuff is really cool because, like, when Katniss sings or when Rue sings and when Katniss's father sings, like this chorus of Mockingjays takes it up, and it's like this very like poetic imagery. But Rue gave the Mockingjays a song to sing if everything was okay. And the Mockingjays are still singing it, but Katniss isn't hearing the source anywhere.
So she goes looking for Rue. Rue's tied up in a net. And this is where you're like, oh no! I'll save you, Rue. Blah! Spear right in her stomach. So that's the boy from District 1. And he's dead too. Katniss fills him with arrows after arrow after arrow.
Pretty sure she only shot him once.
Turns this man into a pincushion. Well, this is okay.
Just empties her whole clip into her whole clip of arrows. This is an R.F. Kuang bow.
Not only that, but then she retrieves them and shoots him again. She's like, Rue, I'm gonna win for you. And Rue is like,
whatever.
Great.
I kind of
awesome.
Oh man, if you could have just poked that beehive with that stick. That's my one regret.
But Katniss is like, Rue, I promise I'm gonna make you look fabulous. And she goes and she dresses her up in flowers.
So that is actually a cool moment.
Game. Yeah.
Well, that's a cool moment because that is where Katniss and Katniss even thinks this is she finally understands what Peeta meant.
Gale.
On the roof. No, Peeta.
Oh,
Peeta.
You're right. You're right. She's also thinking about like how Gale hates the Capitol, but no, this is about Peeta and
yeah.
I don't want to lose myself and I want to just have like I
so,
want to just
in the movie, I'm Team Gale. Like that's the vibe I got. In the movie I was Team Gale. In the book, I'm Team Peeta. Because
the book doesn't even have Gale. He's gone after like 2 chapters.
What I find the guy who played Gale more attractive than the guy who plays Peeta. I think that's part of it.
Got him.
But I mean, Josh Hutcherson, you're a much more attractive man than me. You don't need my validation. But if I had to choose,
do. It's the male podcaster gaze.
If I had to choose, I would choose Gale. So, but in the so what Katniss remembers about Gale is he's really angry and political. Not like any teenager I've ever met. But then what she remembers about Peeta is he wanted them to not change him. He didn't care about winning. I mean, he cared, but he probably relegated himself to the fact that he wasn't gonna. And in lieu of surviving, he just wanted to die as himself. He didn't want them to change him. He didn't want them to make him desperate and a monster. And that is what inspires Katniss to like, you know what? I'm not just going to let some random invisible helicopter, again, that's a little silly, but you know, whatever. I'm not going to let some random invisible helicopter just take Rue. I'm going to give her like a proper, like, not quite funeral. I'm going to lay her to rest, you know? And so she does all this stuff with flowers. She does an elaborate arrangement. There's no way the cameras can't film it. They got to catch at least some of it. We'll find out at the end that they didn't show all of it. They didn't edit it out, but they didn't make it as dramatic as it was in the book. They had to cut it because it was just humanizing the contestant a little too much for the Capitol's taste.
I hate that.
Now in the movie, there was like some cutaway
like a rebellion
to a rebellion.
Yeah,
it's very jarring. That was very jarring. The book doesn't do that because it's all from Katniss's perspective, which I assume that rebellion happened, and we'll find out about that later in another book.
Maybe.
Well, like I get the like, you know, we're skipping ahead a little bit, but like at the end, you're gonna find out that everybody's really pissed at Katniss because she fucked things up for the Capitol. But I was getting the vibe that like, yeah, this performance in the Hunger Games didn't go well for the Capitol. Like maybe it did spark that uprising. But the only reason I have to believe that is that I saw the movie. Because in the book, the way Katniss understands that her gesture meant something to the people of Rue's district is they all chip in and they send her bread. And this is another mark for my boy PETA. PETA, Chekhov's bread, had previously pointed out all the different breads of all the different districts and what it said about them. And so they send Katniss their bread, knowing she'll know who it's from. Because unlike the movie, you can't just put a note in the package telling Katniss what you want her to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually forgot that wasn't a plot point of the book, and so I was like, oh, he doesn't sneak a message in there, she just has to figure it out.
Yeah, like a character in a story. I understand why they did that for the movie, but I almost have to think that might be one of those things that was like shot, and then somebody was like, people aren't going to know unless you put a big old note on the screen that says, Katniss, I need you to make out with him in front of the cameras for bread. She's not going to know you need to do that. Voiceover. Yeah, David Lynch voiceover. We need it.
So,
like how when Jessica saw her son was alive, and you didn't know she'd be relieved about that. Unless the voice actress said in a voiceover, my son is alive. Otherwise, she might have been thinking about groceries.
So after I did. I'm glad that was there. So, yeah, Rue's dead, and she gets the bread, and it's all very sad, and then there's a rule change, Ben. If the boy and the girl from the same district are left alive,
then they'll get a second
only
main
applies
phase
to 2 people.
A 15-card sideboard.
They will both be declared the winner, Ben.
Wait a minute.
This only applies to 2 groups right now.
I wonder who they made this rule for.
Yeah, very weird, right? And that's when she yells out, PETA! And then Peter Griffin sticks his head out and goes, what?
I was a little fuzzy on the movie as I was reading this part. I remember at the end of the movie as I'm reading this part, what don't they have the suicide berries, Chekhov's berries? What? Like, why if they can both survive, why the fuck are they eating the berries at the end? I didn't remember this was in the movie. And I was like, well, they can't. I mean, they made a rule. They can't just change the rule back. Like, they'd burn all their clout for all future games.
Absolutely.
No one's ever gonna take a rule change seriously again. But
so goes.
Sorry, I was just gonna say it's not like I'm not knocking Suzanne Collins because the Capitol is a bunch of like douchebags, and if they did just have a rebellion or something, they're probably doing some shenanigans behind the scenes.
Yeah. So she goes looking for PETA and eventually finds him with his cake skills, Ben.
Well, now hold on. I'm gonna need you to roll a perception check. See if you find PETA.
I got a 19, Ben.
You're not gonna believe it. That does not pass.
Oh my God.
He's very good at hiding.
He is very good at hiding. Unless he smiles and then you see his teeth.
But that log just groaned, so you can that you don't see PETA, but that log is dying of sepsis.
I don't think you realize this, but if you can decorate cakes, you can be a camouflage master. Yeah, he's pretty fucked up. His leg is mostly little bits of chewed up meat and pus. And
maybe it'll get better if we clean it. Oh, that's his bone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty deep. Oh God. It's gonna be okay. How about I give you a kiss, and her kiss is a pot of broth, Ben. And she realizes that's the message. One kiss is a pot of broth. You're gonna have to go all the way, if you get what I'm saying.
It's a family show, though, guys.
Yeah,
just remember that.
But don't. But remember, the cameras are watching, so like you can't do that. So like instead,
And if PETA's heart beats any faster, he will die.
he will die.
so let's keep it above the clothes, okay?
So yeah, teenage romance. So all the way is like you're. Nah, I've got nothing. I wasn't very romantic as a teen, Ben. So anyway, blood poisoning,
I am
Ben.
flabbergasted, Nate. You? No.
I know, it's shocking. It's shocking as, I'm quite the ladies'
shocked to
man
learn.
now.
I'm shocked to learn you're romantic as an adult. I want to hear Mrs. Nate weigh in on this.
Mrs. Nate. If it helps, I can identify blood poisoning, which is what PETA has.
I guess that is the trade-off. You can't have romance and the ability to identify blood poisoning.
This is true. This is very true.
It's the sacrifice you made for medicine.
It's the oath I took, Ben.
First, do no harm. Second, do no one.
Exactly. So yeah. She's like, PETA, you're gonna die, and there's no way, like, as the time goes on, sponsor gifts cost more money, and what it would take to reverse your sepsis in an easily digestible, like, form, it's not happening, PETA. You're fucked.
Here's what I like, though. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I know that's annoying, but this is a part where it was, again, like in the movie, I didn't care about this at all. In the book, I was kind of on the edge of my seat because I didn't expect the rule change, and Katniss is attached now. Like, she doesn't want PETA to die, not just because she's a good person, she doesn't want to see somebody die, but she kind of needs him to survive in like a trauma bond sort of way. And meanwhile, we know PETA's dying, and so he's just like enjoying the kissing and stuff. He's living out his like fantasy with his dream girl before the cold embrace of death takes him.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
Katniss is like, she cares about him. Her feelings are, I think, understandably deeply confused.
Yeah.
And that works. That works for this whole will they, won't they relationship. Like, it totally makes sense that Katniss is not ready for a relationship with PETA. And it totally makes sense that PETA feels betrayed by that. And neither one of them is wrong for the way that they feel. And it's just complicated. And it's this issue that was inflicted upon them by the bad guys. And it's just, there's a lot of silliness with the games. The invisible cameras, the mutant creatures, the walls of fire. But like, this part works, and it made me forget all the other silliness. I just wanted to highlight.
Okay. I agree, Ben. It's a human moment. It's touchy. Anyway, there's going to be a feast, Ben.
Anyway. Tell me, you're not good at romance? I can't believe it.
There's going to be a feast, Ben. You know what's more important than romance? Getting the medicine for your fucking leg, PETA.
At this point, yeah, I'll give you that.
So, a feast is what happens when the game masters want to get you all in one place. Usually it's like food and stuff, but this time they're like, yeah, at the cornucopia, at the butt crack of dawn, there's going to be 4 packs. One with a number, actually 5 packs, one with a number from your district. And it's got what you need. Like, for example, let's say one of you has like a just disgusting, gross, gangrenous infection that's more infection and empty pocket than leg now. We got,
and let's say
another
of you just realized that human flesh was vulnerable to cutting and stabbing, and now you need a full Kevlar suit, a full Kevlar ninja suit. That might
I
be
know.
there too.
I don't know why.
They're not all given equal amounts of thought, you know?
Yeah, no, I never put that together, but that is probably what was in his pack, right?
Yeah.
He didn't have that before.
No. I think Katniss even thinks, oh, that was what was in his pack.
Wow, okay. Well, yeah, so,
maybe it was just on his Christmas list. Maybe they knew that about him.
well, he wrote to Santa every single year.
From the moment I understood the weakness of my flesh, it disgusted me. I craved the strength and certainty of steel.
He has long lamented the weakness of the flesh.
So, Hunger Games is a Christmas book. Been verified.
Hell yeah.
So Peeta's like, I can't let you go alone. And Katniss is like, you... What?
Can't
Like,
stop me either.
what are you gonna do? Like, crawl, hobble your way? Like, if you put any pressure on your leg, I'm afraid it's just gonna snap off your body, dude. And he's like, I love you! And so...
Well, he says, I'll scream until somebody comes and kills me.
Yeah, and so Katniss gets a special delivery, and she's like, is it medicine? She's like, no, it's just stupid drugs. Wait a minute! Drugs? This is sleepy drug. Hey, Peeta, here, have some, I don't know, soup or whatever? I can't remember what she mixed it with, but he's like, this tastes really familiar. Wait a minute. Shh, go to sleep. Shh. Drink.
Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. Iron Man punching the Hulk.
So, yeah. She might as well have. And he goes out. That allows her to go to the cornucopia. And Dawn comes up. She doesn't see anyone else. Where are they? The packs, they're dropped in. And Foxface grabs a pack and runs away. She was inside the cornucopia.
The ruins of the subway.
Yeah.
Trying to convince anybody who hasn't read the book that canonically there was a subway in the cornucopia.
That is factually true.
The only way to know is to read the book.
So Katniss is like, well, shit, I gotta go now. And she charges. And then she's attacked. I think this is also knives, right? Because I know a knife hits her in the forehead. And it's the girl from District 2, whose name I've forgotten. You'll see why in a moment. And she's like...
Let's call her Shiny.
Shiny. So she's like, yeah, first we killed that little girl, and now we're gonna kill you. I'm gonna torture you first. I'm thinking I'll cut your tongue out and eat it or something. I'm crazy. And then
do you ever think this is not like a very likable persona for the reality TV show? Like, I know you're trying to be the drama right now, but I'm just going to tell you that's not a very long-lived character. So if I were you, I'd be cultivating a different personality. And
what do you mean that's not a very long-lived? Hurt. She's lifted off the ground by just a massive mountain of an arm of a man. Thresh is like, what'd you say? You killed that little girl? And she's like, no, I didn't. I swear I did. Kato, come here. I swear I didn't. Yeah, he mashes her head into a rock. She's not getting up from that one.
He dents her skull. That was brutal, actually. I'm like, published by Scholastic, you say, as she's describing the dent in the skull, and Shiny's not quite dead, but she's gonna. And she's just twitching and like foaming at the mouth, and I was like, holy shit.
Her brain herniated. That's not a thing you want to herniate.
Yeah.
And Thresh is like, did you kill that girl? And she's like, no, I swear we were friends. And then the flowers, and then the friends. And Thresh was like...
Katniss is like, okay, look, Thresh, just don't rock me. Okay, just don't bash my head in the rock. Just
can you...
Take the knife. Take the knife.
Please.
Yeah.
Like, I would prefer a quick, painless death than to, like, twitch on the ground. And
he's like,
Thresh is...
You get one. You get one.
Everybody
for
gets
Rue.
one.
No, not everybody. For Rue. You get one.
I don't know why that joke always got me. It's like old Family Guy, where Spider-Man shoots a hammock under Peter, and Peter's like, thanks, Spider-Man. And he just says, everybody gets one. And I'm like, I don't know why that's funny, but it is.
It's a comforting thought that, like, literally everybody gets one free save in life. And Peter just nonchalantly used it.
So Thresh realizes Kato's coming. He's like, you better get the fuck out of here. And he grabs his pack and also Kato's pack, and he disappears into what I can only assume is like a tall grassland full of wild Pokemon or something. And that's Thresh's domain. The tall grass.
Yeah, they're from the agricultural district.
Serengeti.
So he knows fields, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't think about it too hard. Think about that other stuff I was telling you about the romance. Don't think about the field.
Yeah, think more about the fact that Thresh just dented someone's skull.
It's more about the connection to Rue and how Katniss's good deeds were paid off. It's not about the details of how dumb it is that everybody was afraid of the tall grass. Like, there's snakes in there. But Thresh knows the field. So snakes...
It's his domain.
Yeah.
His demise, Ben. He has opened his territory over the entirety of that field.
He has advantage on all saving throws.
One. He can feel every blade of grass that you brush across. He knows where you are at all time.
He's a plains druid.
That may be difficult terrain for you, but he actually gets extra movement speed on it.
He gets double movement. Kato can literally never catch him.
So,
all right.
Katniss, she manages to get back, give Peeta the magic healing goo, and save him from blood poisoning. You did it!
Also, she grows like a significant amount of his muscle tissue back.
Yeah, well, yeah.
She didn't stitch it. He's just had an open cut. And then after he gets the goo that cures the bacterial infection, he can kind of walk again.
Yeah, that's how that works.
Nah, I've had my muscles sliced through. It's not.
Well, you didn't have magic goo from the Capitol, Ben.
We have a robot that dispenses medication.
I did not have the Amazon healing goo.
Robots will pack and ship your medications, but there's still that human element where pharmacists and pharmacy technicians are touching.
That's what keeps Jeff Bezos' dome looking so shiny and young.
I can't decide if the moon is real or merely a projection of the game makers. That's right, Ben. The moon and the sun are just projections, okay? The Illuminati are hiding the fact that the moon and the sun aren't real from the general populace, Ben.
I know. Bigfoot tells me.
What do you want to talk about their romance, Ben? Because, you know.
Okay, well, we need to mention Peeta finding Chekhov's berries.
Yes, I mean, I have a bunch of notes on their romance, and then I'm like, I don't know if any of that matters until I got to the berries. So
they basically they have to survive together now. So this is really the only like quality time they've spent together, and it's very apparent that they come from two different worlds. Peeta cannot hunt. He's too loud and clumsy. He keeps getting in the way.
Oh, and he fell for her when he was like 5, and he mentions that his dad wanted to get with her mom, but then her mom went with some hunter guy in the seam. Not a hunter, sorry, a coal miner in the seam.
Yep.
And she
That was
fell
weird.
in love with the singing voice.
Yeah, and the whole time Katniss is thinking like,
The
wow,
fuck?
he's really playing into this. Could that be true? Like there was too much detail for
Yes, he did.
for a lie.
That, or he was waiting in that riverbed for like days, just thinking up ways he could play up to the camera if he doesn't die of sepsis first.
She's in denial, and I think it's meant to read as she's in denial.
I think so too.
Yeah, she doesn't.
I don't think she's that stupid.
I don't think she's that stupid, but I also don't blame her for not wanting to see it that way because, I mean, Jesus Christ, like, this is no foundation for a relationship. Because they describe the PTSD pretty well.
Hey, PTSD is a solid basis for a long-lasting relationship.
With drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, and maybe occasionally your hot waifu. Look, I'm not gonna go into details here, okay? Anyway, let's go to the berries.
When I failed my romance check, I had to make certain adjustments. Some of which I'm not proud of.
They really need a romance check for just every time a player is like, I want to hit on that person. You're like, oh.
In 3.5, I don't think this was like published by the actual company. I think this was like a third party thing, but it was in bookstores. They had a like sex and romance module for 3.5.
Oh my
for
God.
saucy campaigns. Yeah.
For saucy campaigns.
I remember reading that in a Barnes & Noble when I was 16.
Yeah, if you break that out at the table, you gotta go home. Leave the food here. That's our pizza now. You go home.
I have a rule when I run a D&D campaign that we can't have evil characters unless we're doing an evil campaign. And because of a certain someone who you don't actually know, we also need to discuss what evil means. Because everyone at the table but this guy was thinking Legion of Doom. And this guy was on another level.
This guy was thinking skinning people and wearing their skin suits.
He wound up in jail.
In real life?
In real life.
Oh my God.
We were teenagers when this happened. The D&D incident. We were in our early 20s when he went to jail. So it wasn't long. I mean, he didn't make it very far. But, oh God. I saw him at a grocery store the other year. It's so fucking awkward. Oh, but yeah, Katniss. So
yeah, Jesus.
Their romance. They struggle. But and Katniss is very hard on him. And there is a moment where
he's just making so much noise. God.
Well,
you're scaring away all the game in like a 25-mile radius. I'm pretty sure my parents can hear. My parents, plural, can hear you from here without even watching the TV. Okay?
There's a moment where after they figure out he can't go hunting with her, that he's going to stay and gather some stuff around the river.
Yeah, just
and they
get
do
some
a call.
berries, PETA.
They do a call like they did with Rue. And PETA doesn't answer, and Katniss freaks out. Full on
panic.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
She's
when
having
she
a Vietnam
finds
flashback. She is freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, flashing back to Rue.
Yeah,
all the violence
Oh
she's
my God,
seen.
Kato has a spear,
Yeah.
and he's gonna fucking gut PETA.
And it's pretty realistic. And she freaks out on him, but she realizes what she's doing. And she says it's for the cameras. Like, she realizes she's being hard on him. And this is like where, again, there's the silliness of the games, but Suzanne Collins' writing shines through in these moments where Katniss she's not even allowed to have a mental breakdown because she needs to be aware of the cameras.
Yeah.
Like, the people back home watching this reality show, the people that put her in this most traumatic of situations won't understand that they have done this, that her behavior right now is because of them. They're just going to think she's a bitch.
Yeah.
And so that is the thought that helps her calm down and realize this isn't Peter's fault. He didn't understand. And she can explain it to him rationally. But it's like so creepy and weird if you think about it, how like she did manage to self-soothe, but in the most horrific dystopian way possible. It's just one of those like good things and bad things that I think Suzanne Collins balances very well when she's not talking about mutated hornets. But yeah, PETA, it's okay he wandered far afield because he found these delicious berries. And PETA, those are the most toxic things on the planet.
Did you eat any of these? Spit them out. And then...
Spit them out, you toddler.
You hear... Oh yeah, I think Thresh is dead by this point, by the way. So there's that.
Yeah, they heard the cannon fire. And Katniss has an emotional moment.
Yeah, and now, just now, the cannon went off. Holy shit. Foxface is dead.
Foxface?
And Peter's like, oh my god, that means Kato's gonna be like right on top of us. We gotta get away. And Katniss
get behind me, Katniss. The killer could be anywhere.
Yeah. and yeah, the call's coming from inside the house, PETA. Those berries? Yeah, she ate those. Yeah, she thought that you were going to eat them, and you thought they were safe. So she snuck over and grabbed them and ate them. Now she's dead. Good job. You killed your first or probably second person of this entire competition.
And Peter's
like,
oh,
killer.
I think we can agree that's no one's fault. I think that's act of God. That look, I make bread. There's not a lot of berries used in bread. I mean, like some breads, but like
if
raisins.
You're going around eating poison berries, you weren't gonna live long anyway. Like I almost didn't. So yeah.
Yeah, that's nobody's fault. Then, and we're gonna just sort of speed things along. Then, all the water goes away.
Yep.
It's down to Katniss, PETA, Cato.
Who will win?
All the water's gone away. And PETA's like, hey, it's 2-on-1. We can take him. And Katniss is like, ha, okay. And there's nothing else to do. They got to go to the lake, which is going to be the only source of water left. And they do. And they sit there and they're waiting. And they
rock back and forth in their rocking chairs saying, it's good to have land.
And then Cato comes running at him. He's running really hard. Like,
holy shit, he's just going to tackle us like a...
Katniss, shoot him. And then it bounces off of his Kevlar ninja suit that he always wanted.
Yeah.
And
Santa finally gave it to him.
He just keeps barreling at him. He definitely didn't want that suit specifically because she imagined this scene. It was multi-layered, guys. Don't worry about it. And he runs right by him. And he just keeps running. And Peeta's like, that was weird. What do you think that could be? And then bam, there's just werewolves. There's literal fucking werewolves running out of the woods on two legs sometimes, pointing with their claws and coordinating and waving each other on. And it's werewolves, Nathaniel. I kind of didn't. I laughed, Nathaniel.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
It was a little absurd. I don't get the mutation thing. I think that might have just been a little too much.
They cut it for the movie, and that's one of the cuts I agreed with. I was like, that was kind of dumb.
It's a cool idea. So basically what these things
It's a weird idea to just kind of spring on me now at the end.
It's a great idea. It's a bad idea for the Hunger Games. So what these things is they have somehow taken either the DNA or the brain.
Yeah, I also wasn't sure if that was the thing. Was it like DNA splice, or was it just a mutt that was designed to look...
Maybe we'll find out in a future book, but like it's implied that somehow they have desecrated the corpses of all the tributes to create these mutations that have all the traits of werewolves, but also the eyes and affect of the tributes. And that's horrific. And so they all climb the ruins of the subway. There's like one good rafter left. And the mutations are like getting closer and closer, and they're kind of having to work together with Kato even. He's out of breath, very winded, like me after running a solid 2 miles. Just needs 30 minutes to just physically recover. And they're like, what the hell do we do? And there's a struggle. One of them grabs PETA and it rips his leg. I don't know if it's the same leg.
Yes.
But
I hope it is.
I kind of hope it is. PETA's legs, man. I don't know. And they're fighting, back and forth.
Kato gets PETA in a chokehold and uses PETA as a shield, and PETA uses his own blood to write an X on Kato's exposed hand. The only thing she could easily shoot without being,
Yeah, she could shoot Kato, but the fall will drag PETA down.
Yeah. So she shoots him in the hand, and that causes him to reflexively like lurch back, and then he falls off.
PETA knocks him over, yeah.
Yeah.
But then Kato fights the werewolves for 16 hours.
Yeah, he goes on for a while.
They drag him back into the woods. Spoilers, he loses. And he's just dying. And the wolves leave him to die.
I thought he was still under the cornucopia.
Yeah, I don't know. He's near enough to shoot. That's going to be the important thing. And he's dying. The sun starts to come up. Katniss can see him. Doesn't look good. He's probably not okay. He's probably not going to make it out of this one. And he just got that Kevlar ninja suit, which is the real tragedy.
Yeah. And she puts him out of his misery. She's not even angry at him anymore. This just sucks. What a shit way to go out. Well, that's the end of the Hunger Games. He's dead now, Ben. But hey,
but then
we get to go home,
it doesn't
right?
end. It doesn't end. Like just
what?
Hours pass and nobody's coming for him, and Katniss is screaming at the sky and lamenting her fate. And there's a rule change, and they're like, there can only be one winner. And Katniss is like, but that's totally going to burn all your credibility and ruin any future rule changes. Like, you'll never be able to pull this stunt again. Are you sure you want to do that? That's just like, I'm just telling you, you got a lot of Hunger Games you're going to have to do. Like you're going to be doing this for 100 years, right? Nobody's going to fall for this again. You're just really burning a bridge with this. I think you should reconsider. You go talk to legal. I'll let you know. And that's when the werewolves, like, she can hear him growling. And he's like, and Peter's like, you know what, Katniss? You're going to have to kill me. Katniss is like, no, you kill me. And Peter's like, see my knife? It's my only weapon. Well, that and the bread. But you tolerate gluten like a champ. So I'm tossing my knife into the lake. Katniss is like, I'm not going to do it, Peter. Wait. Your dumbass berries.
I'm glad that I remembered to take these.
Peter, you can kill us all with these. You beautiful idiot. And so, they each take a handful of berries. And on 3, we're going to eat these berries, Peter. We're not going to let them change us. 1, 2, 3.
Wait. New rule change. Actually, we're just kidding. We got you, didn't we? We're not changing the rule back. You're both winners. Yay! Just kidding. Put the berries down. Yay!
And then they drop the berries, and a plane comes and picks them up. And you better believe Peter's septic again.
Yeah, he's bleeding out.
Yeah, Peter's not doing so good. He's rushed into emergency surgery. Katniss, and I liked this. This was raw. I liked it. Katniss, at this point, she's so screwed up psychologically. The only person in the world right now I think she trusts is Peeta. and she sees him going on the operating table, and she can't even process what's happening. She can't trust these doctors. She wants to go take him away from them. And they shut her in a room, and she's pounding on the glass and screaming his name, like tearing her hair out. She sees herself in the mirror, and she looks like an absolute lunatic. And only after she's totally exhausted herself does she stop. And somebody comes in and literally does the thing where they're like, "You want a soda?"
I thought
Juice?
they ended up jabbing her with a...
They do. I think they hit the
Sleepy
booty juice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they hit her with the booty juice. She wakes up in a hospital, tell her to eat something. She eats it, and she's like, "Hey, what's this hospital?" And they knock her out again. That goes on for a couple, like, months, weeks. I can't tell. And finally, like a goddamn horror movie, she wakes up. She's not connected to any tubes anymore. Her skin is
that's
perfect.
weird. I can hear out of my ear again.
Yep. They gave her some of that good surgery.
They were also thinking they might have given her a boob job, but Haymitch fought against that.
That was weird.
That was.
Hey, you know what? I think that seems like this. I'll give Suzanne Collins this. That seems like the sort of fucked up thing the Capitol would try.
Yes. No, I don't think that's unrealistic at all or anything.
And I think it is one last way of endearing Haymitch to us because he wouldn't allow it. Like, he's genuinely protective of her. If Haymitch didn't give a shit, he would have just let that happen. But he knows she wouldn't want that. He knows that would probably, I mean,
well,
I can't. That would be an incredible violation. So he's not going to let that happen. Like, and he's willing to fight the Capitol on that. And that could easily mean death because she's already really fucked things up. And he goes to bat for her. And so we like Haymitch now. He's cool. And even Effie is a little cool now. But what I didn't fully get was how she wakes up and the door opens. There's nobody there. The door just opens and she walks down the hallway and she's like, "Hello." I'll play the clip from 28 Days Later where he's walking around empty London. And then finally she sees everybody at the end of the hall and she runs to him. And I was like, why were they just in the room? What a weird way to do that. I mean, I guess it raises the tension a little bit.
That room was like really cramped and like it smelled like a hospital room and like it's just so much more comfortable if we're out here, man. Okay?
I don't know. It raised the tension a little bit, but it kind of felt like an ass pull.
We all thought it was kind of weird that like we didn't want you waking up suddenly and hearing us talk mean about you, so like we just relocated.
And then they have to do an interview with my favorite character, Caesar Flickerman. And before the interview, Haymitch pulls Katniss in close and was like, "Hey, you fucked up real big. And you need to just go with the narrative that you are so in love, you lost control of your goddamn mind. Okay? That's the only way you're going to live. You look great. You look great. Good luck out there." And she's like, "What about PETA?" He's like, "I don't need to tell him that. He doesn't need to be told." She's like, "What could that possibly mean?" And he's like, "God help you two." So they go out and they do the interview, and Katniss, she successfully BS's her way through it, but she runs into PETA's arms, and that's kind of genuine. Like, she really runs to PETA, almost knocking him over because he now has one leg and one robot leg.
A sick robot leg.
And Katniss is like, "Oh, holy shit, did I do that with my tourniquet?" And he's like, "Well, no, the tourniquet probably saved my life." And Caesar Flickerman is like, "Yeah, no, the tourniquet saved his life. I'm actually a trained EMT. You didn't know that about me." But one of the hosts of Words About Books added that to his headcanon because I kind of want, like, fuck Snow. I don't care about this Snow movie. I want the Caesar Flickerman story. I'm not even joking. He's one of the most interesting, charismatic characters in the whole thing. I love that guy. I got a thing for hosts. I like a good host. I don't know. But then they get on the train to go home. And that's when Peeta's like, so what about us? What are we going to do now? Now that you've got me.
How many children do you want?
And she's like, oh, well, that was just for the cameras, right? And he's like, what?
Peeta, like, I still need to, like, figure out, like, I was
Why would
just
you
in
lie to
a
me?
life or death fight.
You're a goddamn monster.
What the fuck?
Katniss is just like, oh god, this is a lot. This is a lot. But Peeta, you know what I like about him? I'm portraying him as a whiny baby. He wasn't a whiny baby.
Yeah.
He didn't get mad. He did get distant.
Shut down a little bit, yeah.
He shut down, but he didn't get mad. He didn't yell.
And he
didn't pressure. He didn't beg. Yeah. He was like, oh, I just had my heart broken. Good day. And he walks back to his room and he sobs softly to himself like a man. Like we all do. And then he comes back out and there's a bunch of cameras waiting for him. And when they get to home and he's like, one more time. And she takes his arm and they walk off into the next book, Catching Fire.
And that's where the Star Wars credits go.
And that's how Katniss became Katniss Hunger Games. Okay, Nate. I know it's late. I know this one has run long, but we have to rubric.
All right. Get your rubric out. We're at blog.wordsabouutbooks.ninja/reviews/
It's
the
links on
hunger
the links on the page.
games.
Please stop. The links on the page.
All right, Ben. Content and ideas.
3.
I gave it a 4.
And
I was right, by the way. I said that you'd probably give it a 3 for not being original because Battle Royale exists already.
Okay, so that's part of it. I think the most shocking part of the Hunger Games, is not entirely original. I think some of the points in this book are underdeveloped. I'd be willing to do a rubric for the series if we cover the whole series. We haven't done that before. Maybe this could change. But right now, the mutations, it's underdeveloped. I don't even know why they're there. It's kind of weird. The love triangle, don't like Gale. Gale could just not be in the book. It's the same book. That's a problem.
But it's a young adult, Ben.
Well, and that's why I said, maybe if you tell me it's meant to be read as a series, these things are cleared up later, I could buy that. Right now I'm at a 3 because I don't think there's a lot original here, but I think the execution is done very well.
Yeah, I didn't fault it for the Battle Royale thing because, Battle Royale kind of wishes that this took after it more. You know what I'm saying?
This is a better book than Battle Royale.
I am guessing more people read or watched Battle Royale as a direct result of hearing about it after reading this book.
Certainly more people outside of Japan, yes.
Organization, Ben.
4.
I gave it a 5.
I could see a 5.
Oh my god.
What made you feel it was a 5?
Nothing negative to say. I felt like when it needed to be fast and actiony, it was fast and actiony. When it was time to slow down and do some introspection or to flesh out the relationship between Katniss and Peeta, it was able to slow down and go at a good pace to kind of get your bearings between the major scenes. So I had no criticism really to give the organization of the book.
The only criticism I can give, and this is a nitpick, but when we're talking 5, I'm willing to nitpick. The Hunger Games themselves, the pacing is fine. The connective tissue is not as fine. Like when they tree Katniss and they just can't think of any way to get her out of a tree.
How could you possibly get someone out of a tree then?
Yeah, it's a contrivance. Yeah, many wars were stalemated because the enemy general climbed a tree.
That's why the Civil War went on for 5 years, right?
And the fire thing was a little weird, and drying up the water, and the invisible cameras, and there's just a few, like, I don't want to say, I guess contrivance is the right word. It just hand waves away certain logic, and that's fine. It doesn't hurt the overall story. But yeah, I don't think I think it's very good, above average, not quite a 5. But I can understand the 5. I won't call nonsense on that.
All right. Use of language, Ben.
You know, I said 3, but I'm kind of wondering if I couldn't be talked up to a 4. What did you give it?
I gave it a 4.
Tell me why I should give it a 4.
I think it had enough words that added flavor to the world that you will remember and recognize. And I think there was enough there for conveying just like the struggle of needing to find water, the struggle of slowly starving to death in this inhumane arena. So I gave it a 4 for that.
You know what? I think the memorable phrases, like "May the odds be ever in your favor," I remember that, and I knew that before I even read the book. The Mockingjay is legit a good new word. Mutation, not so much.
Yeah, you know, they're not all going to be bangers, but
I've heard a lot of people specifically call out the prose as being bad, but I think I want to push back on that and say, like, YA books get a bad rap for being juvenile because they're for teenagers. And this is written for teenagers, and it's obviously written by somebody who specializes in children's media and was probably working with that. Like, this is published by the same publisher that publishes Goosebumps. So, and we talked about restrictions placed on language. There's probably certain things, like, she is writing to a younger audience than, you know, Ben, 35-year-old jaded man. So, you know what? I'm going to change it. I'm going up to a 4.
Oh my God, I got him.
You got me.
Personal preference, Ben.
5.
I also gave it a 5. Really?
Yeah, I was into this.
Yeah,
I was into this.
Recommendation strength. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no. We can just go on. Recommendation strength. I'm going 4.
I also went with a 4.
I think you have to be willing to accept some of the tropes and trappings of
YA.
quote unquote YA.
Yeah.
But somebody mentioned that this gets a bad rap maybe because of the association with, like, all the clones that came after it. And I kind of agree, because all the stuff I've heard about why the Hunger Games is bad, when I read the book, I didn't see it at all.
Yeah.
Katniss is a well-developed character. She's not an audience self-insert. She clearly has her own personality that is very different from probably most of the people reading the book. The prose is fine. The games themselves, they're a little ridiculous. Like, I always look up the bad reviews to see if anybody has a point, like, I haven't thought of. A lot of them were like, in an actual survival situation, blah, 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 blah. And I just don't believe that there's invisible cameras. And I just don't believe that she could walk 3 miles while she's... Who the hell cares? Like, that's... if that's all you've got, that it's not a realistic portrayal of a dystopian sci-fi world, I don't care. It's fine. The mutations are silly, but they're just silly. They're not, like, egregious. All right, so with that, let me total.
I got 85. An average for me is 55, so this comes in well above average.
76. So that is a 4 out of 5 for me.
I gave mine a 5, I believe.
I think that's worth a 5. Yeah, 4 out of 5 for me. I think it's solid. I recommend it. I'd say if you've ever been curious about the story, I'd say if you liked Battle Royale, it might not be a bad next step. Like, it's pretty brutal. It's got something for everybody, I think. I'm surprised at how violent it is. It is definitely not some like teeny bopper girly girl special protagonist book. I don't know where that reputation comes from, other than, misogyny, I guess.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to let you do the shout-outs and posts, because I'm getting tired.
You're a coward.
I didn't sleep very well because it was 40-some-odd degrees in my house last night. So...
Katniss slept in a tree in a firestorm.
With a box of scraps.
And you can't even do your own Patreon shoutouts. Okay,
no.
Fine. I'll do them in post. Fine.
All right. Cowabunga, Ben.
So here we are in the future because Nate lacks the moral fiber to do his own Patreon shoutouts in the actual recording. I guess I'll have to do it here in post. And the people I need to shout out are these. Isekai Sensei Sama of That Time I Got Reincarnated in the Same World as an Anime podcast. Jamie the Gravy Man of the If You Want the Gravy movie blog. John Bierce, author of the Mage Errant series and The Rack, and owner of a Patreon himself, where he releases his short stories, and you can vote on which short story is released next. Then, of course, as always, we have Spooky Shy with a Y on TikTok. With that, I will bid you all a good night, and may the odds be ever in your favor. I guess that's a thing from the book. I was doing a thing there. But you didn't get it. It's fine. It's fine.